Friday, the 7th of January, the last shift at Armthorpe near Doncaster, and the beginning of the miners' first national strike for nearly 50 years. Their last was the general strike of 1926. A 250,000 miners are on strike, and the Armthorpe pit, where Tommy Hyams has worked for 20 of his 34 years, is deserted.
Well, that's it now. We're on strike. We've tried for the last 2 years, but it's only been Yorkshire. Well, now this time we've managed to get it national, and we're going to fight now. Fighting right to end now, we've got to do.
The miners have two aims. First, to stop coal and oil getting to the power stations and so bring industry to a halt. Second, to persuade the other unions not to touch the stockpiles already at the power stations. Thorpe Marsh has plenty of coal but little oil to fire it. It's the target of the Armthorpe picketers.
These power stations are shutting down. Makes it bite. Well, it's no good sitting at home, is it? If you're fighting for something, if you believe in it, you've got to go out and do something about it. That's all there is to it. It's worth fighting for. That's it.
It's more than just a morale booster, is it?
Oh, it's not that at all. This is no fun coming out here, you know.
This power station, whether it's got enough coal for 6 months, it can't manage without oil to fire the boilers. And we're going to stop their tankers today to bring other unions in, to bring industry to a standstill. And then maybe the government will bend on the 7% norm.
Well, your union at national headquarters has asked you not to break miners' picket strike.
Yeah.
So therefore, we want you to turn this lorry back and take it back to where it comes from.
Well, I'll explain this to you.
Go on then.
If I don't unload this today, it goes solid. And if your men are prepared to shovel it out when it goes solid, fair enough. Now, if I can deliver it, fair enough, and I shan't come no more.
Well, surely.
No, it's black oil and it goes solid out.
Sure, your national officials know that goes solid. And they're the people who's leading you.
Yeah.
They've given us 100% support and told us that if we approach drivers in a proper manner, that those drivers will support our strike.
We're sorry for it, Bill, lad, that
you were aware of your union's instructions there, that you were not to break the picket lines, weren't you?
Well, this is all we're asking. We're asking you to go back.
I'll be fair with you. Can I deliver it this once and I shan't come no more?
We're keeping a continual picket line on these two gates,
well,
this gate and the west gate.
Let me pull through, I'll park on that side. So I can turn around here and I'll walk round to the telephone.
Just a minute.
I shan't.
The decision is his.
I shan't return.
You've had your talk with him. The decision is his now. Now, just clear the way.
Well, look here, sir.
If he wants to take it in, it's up to him.
Nobody supported me 3 years, especially your lot.
Don't go back. We've been on strike for the last bloody 3 years.
Yeah, but when we went for some more money,
we're asking you. Your leaders support.
This has been the only oil to get through the picket this week. Thorpe Marsh is now desperately short, and strikers claim it could be shut down by the weekend. Who's pushing who in this strike? Where's the impetus for strike action coming from?
Well, the impetus has come from the rank and file. There's no doubt about this. No doubt whatever about this. There's been two unofficial strikes in 69 and 70 that was done by the rank and file themselves. When miners vote with their feet, i.e. coming out on strike, that's it. The miners are very embittered, the way they've been treated. They've shown perfect allegiance to successive governments, inasmuch as now, through showing this allegiance, they've finished up that now they're about £5 worse off, wage-wise, than there was in 1967, due, obviously, to inflation. So literally they've been kicked in the teeth.
How long will this strike last?
Well, indefinite, because the miner is a tradition. that the more and the harder and more difficult things become, the more he seems to bring just that extra something out.
The mine at Armthorpe has given the village jobs and money, but has taken its toll in return.
Don't go down in the mine, Dad. Dreams very often come true. Daddy, you know it would break my heart if anything happened to you. Just go and tell my dreams to your mates. It's as true as the stars that shine. Something is going to happen today. So, Daddy, don't go down the mine.
The mine came first, and then came Armthorpe. That was in 1922, but times have changed. The young now want the higher paid and cleaner jobs of the nearby chemical works. There aren't many young miners left. Tommy is one of them.
Outside of areas, completely away from, I think they're still. You know, I think they think we
raced apart, that's what.
Dirty, swearing, hard drinking men. We're not. Can go out with collar and tie on with next man, you know. And well, they can't begin to think what it's like at a pit, especially down a pit. They can't begin to. Anybody who hasn't been down a pit has no idea. I can't see how they can begin to think what it's like, what a miner's task is to do, you know.
You ask any miner's wife and she'll tell you the times that she's waited for a man to come in with one eye on the clock, and then you walk to the window if they're a few minutes late when you know that they're on a bad job. I mean, I have 3 daughters. But honest to God, if I'd got 3 boys, I wouldn't want one of my lads to go down. It would make a man of him to go down a pit, but it'd break his heart and his back as well.
We're not after holding country to ransom, no. So what are you getting? Papers. That's what they say about power workers every year. Annual confrontation, holding the country to ransom. They're not. They just want a fair day's wage for a fair day's work.
The miners want a £9 a week rise. The coal board has offered them £2 now and £1 later. The board say that they can't afford any more because they only made £500,000 profit last year. The lowest paid miners get only £18 a week basic. Underground workers earn a basic wage of £30 a week. And Tommy Hyams, after he's paid for his coal and rent, takes home £22. With a wife and 3 daughters to keep, there's little room for luxuries.
My 2 mates, Harry and Sam, they've just done 7 weeks on strike. 7 weeks on strike, they decided to make it a bit of an holiday. So they went to London. Never been before. First stop, Piccadilly Circus, you know what they're after.
Friday night means payday and club night. Time for a few laughs and a few pints. But tonight, the first night of the strike, there's not much to laugh about. Soon, the pints will be cut to halves.
She said, she's all right, but it's not as good as our Mary. He said, have a go, Sam. So Sam went. 5 minutes later, he come back. He said, what do you reckon to it, Sam? He said, you're right, Harry, it's not as good as your Mary.
Miners, even off-duty, talk about mining. Now there's a new urgency to it.
With the beginning of the 1960s, we accepted everything that's shoved at us. You know, pit closures, redundancies, failure to win our wage increases and all the rest of it. And we wore that up until 69, and 69 was then they emerged. They thought that the miners would never strike again. You know, Robins was really rocked when the miners in Yorkshire came out solid in 1969 because they thought we would never strike again. And that's why we got the 27 and 6 to make the £15 minimum.
Why should a man have to work and maybe have a few pints at weekend and that be his lot in life? Workers now, they're getting a taste for a little bit better things now. There's a lot go abroad for a week or a fortnight's holiday, but they work hard and they save hard for that. See, Joan doesn't work. I don't believe in that, and so long as we can manage with just me working, I don't want it to, see. Because what I believe in is when our kiddies come home from school, there's someone in the house for them. You know, the fire's burnt through, they're not running wild, you know, there's somebody at home, they're wanted at home.
The government don't seem to realise, keep the as a food stable, we shouldn't need it. But there's a limit to how much you can stretch a budget, and every housewife in the country knows this. And when you bear in mind that they aren't luxuries that have gone about milk, bread, butter, such things, they're necessities, they aren't luxuries.
They've a right to some of the better things in life. It's been denied them before for years and years, like going back to our fathers and all that, you know.
Yeah.
So long as they thought, go to work, you know, a few pints at weekend, raise a big family, they thought that were a worker's lot. Well, it's not now. Them attitudes have changed. People want to have holidays, they want to run a car, they want to be able to go to the coast, into fresh air with their kids and their families.
And why is this?
And why should it be all wrong for us to do this?
Old miners had to make do with simpler pleasures. The proper height of a miner's ambition used to be to breed a champion whippet or to win first prize in a pigeon show.
Well, it's made my day, that. Good thing I've got for it.
Harry Wood went down the pit when he was 13. He's got bitter memories of the general strike which the miners led and lost. Mining and pigeons were his life. Now, pigeons are left.
Well, I'm working at pit. I mean, I was a gaffer and I had a lot of men working for me, a lot of worries and that. But as soon as I walked down to my pigeons, well, my worries were over. I forgot all about everything else about pigeons. That's my missus. I mean, that's all I think on.
What did the men who work for you think about you keeping pigeons?
Oh, well, it was a great thing, that, you know. They trust me, but they won't trust fellas didn't, because I'm one of them, more or less.
Do you think that the miners today can get the support of the unions that they didn't have in 26?
I don't think they can, not fully. They'll get some. I mean, they might get dockers to side with them. They might get, you know, some sort of other work. They might get steel workers to go with them. But I can't see them getting car workers or anything like that. I'm not a believer in strikes. Never have been.
The miners reckon that they should be rewarded for cooperating faithfully with the coal board over the past 10 years. 10 years during which 300,000 miners lost their jobs and 150 pits were closed to streamline mining for the 70s. But in those 10 years, the miners have seen their real earnings drop from 2nd to 16th in the National League table. Armthorpe survived the closures. It became a modern pit. Over £1 million was spent on re-equipment. But the price was high. Its workforce was cut from 2,500 men to 1,300. It was Lord Robens, as chairman of the Coal Board, who masterminded the streamlining operation. In those days, Lord Robens was the miners' messiah.
I will go back a few years and just get coal news. That's mining paper every month. Robens is there. If everybody in England was doing the same productivity as miners, there'd be no trouble. They never talked about no productivity money then.
No, this is it.
He kidded us, he conned us, he was the biggest con man walking this earth. If you go on strike or ask for too much money or anything like that, we'll shut your pits, and he still shut the pits, and he put 300,000 men out of jobs. Yeah. And we accepted all that. Yeah. In good faith, because he conned us. Yeah. Everyone who works in this industry, he conned us. Yeah. We followed him, everybody, nearly every man Jack thought he was a saviour at coal industry.
It's true.
And he sold us out.
Yes, he did.
It's all right, he talks down pit and he was talking to lads. I wouldn't mind a job like that going down. It's for a couple of 3 hours and lunch and laid on when they come up top. It's an experience, that's not seeing out lads is working all the time.
This is a point.
Because when a gaffer goes down that pit, anybody special, everything is laid on. He doesn't go to the worst place of work, he goes to the best.
Now, the gaffers are running the pit. The managers are doing the jobs of the union's safety and maintenance men. Armthorpe, like many others, withdrew its safety men in defiance of its own union leaders. Armthorpe is a difficult pit to work anyway because of gas and spontaneous combustion. Recently, one phase had to be sealed off and abandoned. Millions of pounds worth of new equipment could be written off if the strike is a long one. Even before the strike started, the miners' overtime ban had already affected maintenance. Although the managers are helping in safety work, the coal board said tonight that they were worried about the state of the country's pits and said that in Yorkshire especially, underground machinery is already showing signs of damage. Armthorpe's manager is apprehensive too.
Well, as long as the machinery keeps running, of course, reasonably we should be all right. But as the strike goes on, bear in mind that we've had 8 weeks of an overtime ban where machinery has not been maintained to the same standards as we normally maintain the machinery. This could be a great concern as the strike goes on.
How will the strike affect the economic future of this pit?
Well, the pit itself has never been noted for making a lot of profits, you know, because of the difficult geological conditions that we've got underground at Markham. During the first 6 months of last year, the pit made substantial profits. Then, unfortunately, 2 of the phases hit faults, which caused us to lose money.
May not this strike be disastrous for the industry? May there not be pits for people to go down if the strike is long enough?
Well, we might all live a lot bloody longer then. Might all be better off if they did shut them.
Could not this strike, if it's long enough, destroy the coal industry?
I don't think so. I don't think so. This threat has been put to us all the while. We've been living under a threat now of pit closures for the past, 6 years. They'll still close pits. If they're uneconomical, the board will close the pits, irrespective of anything.
When I spoke to you last time, you were confident that you'd get massive union support, but so far there's not a lot of evidence that you're getting the kind of support you envisaged. Even within the ranks of your own union affiliates, you haven't got full support. Are you still as optimistic?
But railways is not taking coal in, are they? The transport drivers is not going to cross the picket lines. So we're getting support off them lads, aren't we?
But ships with coal are still being unloaded. And ships
Where? There's some gone back as well. It's all getting organised more now, see?
Since the strike began, there's been very little evidence of movement by either side. Do you now envisage a long strike?
I think so. Quite a few weeks yet, I think, before they'll give in to us.
You've got about 1,300 men on strike in Armthorpe, and yet it appears that you can only muster about 50 or so at the moment for a picket. Doesn't that depress you a bit?
No. No, there'll be more come out after Bellman's been round tonight.
The bellman in Armthorpe calls for more men for tomorrow's pickets.
Notice! General meeting in the Welfare Club today!
But the miners' fight will not be won or lost on the streets of Armthorpe. Everything is working against them. A coal industry that's struggling to make a profit, and a government determined to hold down wages. Tomorrow, the government will see both sides in the strike. Victory for the miners could only come if the big unions were to give them their full support. So far, they've shown little inclination. Only a miner whose industry was once the backbone of the country can be optimistic.
We're fighting not just for miners now. If you look at it broadly, we're fighting for all them unions what's going to follow us.
This is it.
Because we are number one now in public sector.
Yeah.
We're the only ones who the government can really lean on, public workers. And we've got to fight now, and we're going to fight. And I think we can win this one. We've got to win it.
Yeah.
Because if we don't win this, I think we've had it forevermore.